Yeah. How often do you have time for a couple more?
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right. Just a couple more. But I don't want to abuse our audience either, so just a couple more. How often do you find yourself leaning into your experience, especially in this weird space that we're in now, or this weird time that we're in right now? How often do you find yourself, day to day, week to week, in the role that you're in now, leaning back into the experiences um, that you had as an investment banker?
I think there are two aspects of that experience. Daily, I remember drug development failures that I witnessed as an investor,
Hmm.
right? I don't think a day goes by where I don't think, oh my God, that could go wrong. Why do I know it could go wrong? Because I've seen it go wrong. And that is all the time. And I didn't realize until I'd joined Biotech and worked with pharma how valuable the breadth of failure that I've witnessed, and not just witnessed, that I've been stabbed in the heart by, that has seared into my psyche, how valuable that is. So that's every day. With respect to speaking to investors, I, I think probably there's very few days and certainly very almost no weeks where we don't meet with investors. And I don't know what it would be like not to have been a public market investor, but there is a certain decorum, language, and way of speaking to public markets investors that I respect. And one of the reasons we went public so quickly is I didn't have that experience with private. I don't have the same understanding and respect for VC, right? It's a different way of being. And
Hmm.
I just remember the feeling of when we were public, and suddenly I was speaking to people with, I call it decorum because it's a language that you both know, which,
Yeah.
whether it's really respect or not, it's a courtesy that where you both understand each other without explicitly saying stuff. And I I use that all the time in my communications with investors. And it's certainly a relief for me to speak to public investors. I don't know how much of a relief it is for them to speak to me, but I find it a much easier dialogue, which I attribute to having been one of them and having respect for them, actually.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand that they know a lot.
Do you miss those days at all?
I don't miss it now. Like this last couple of years, I wouldn't necessarily. I think the last couple of years is equally tough for investors and for people managing companies. I sometimes think, oh my God, it was so easy. It was so easy being an investor
Yeah.
because you've got so much opportunity. If you have one company, you have to make it work. You have to fight every day.
Yeah.
You have to make it work. You can't get rid of the position and move on and make
Yeah.
a success elsewhere. So yeah, when things are looking bleak and you have to really, you know, force yourself to do your best, sometimes I go, oh, well, that was easy, but it's not easy. It's not easy
Yeah.
to be a good investor.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's what we're gonna end on the fight, and you're gonna tell me what's the next fight. Like what's next on your agenda? What's the good fight? You alluded to the clinical progress, some of the late stage candidates. So maybe give us an update on next milestones for those, and what the next big fight Zandy Forbes is gonna sign up for looks like.
I will say this. Um, Over the last 3 years, my fight is to stop. It is it's a fight to succeed. I have really learned not to fight. right? Really work with new investors, new sources of money, pharma companies, really, really think out of the box in how you finance and move forward your company and how you do what your duty is, right? To extract value from all different parts of your business. And that requires a real need to think a little bit differently in many different scenarios. And that is what we're really doing now. Financing, value extraction, new ways of doing something in a public market that's somewhat broken, and in a world where there's huge amounts of capital that are interested in innovation. That's on the big thing. So I actually feel right now, as we come to the end of this year, really excited about the things we're doing with respect to building the company and extracting value. With respect to the clinical programs, what I'm most excited about, which is actually the smallest population, is getting our drug for the blind kids approved. It was something we did for charity, right?
Mm-hmm.
We never expected to make money. We gave it away, and working with the UK regulators and the FDA and working with them to get this really transformative drug approved outside the normal pathway, and seeing that in agencies that have been quite rigid in the past, right? Yeah. And being able to really, really provide something which really changes kids' lives. Blind, not blind, autistic-ish behavior, normal behavior, and working with those agencies in a really collaborative, somewhat less formal way. That's given me a lot of hope in speaking to both the FDA and MHRA recently, that recognition we can do things differently here to actually get access for these kids that really need this. And I find that exciting.
Yeah. It's super exciting. Yeah, that's awesome work. It's a great story. I feel like I could talk to you for the rest of the afternoon, but I know you've got to get on to things, and I need to get on to things. So we're gonna have you back if you'll come back. There's so much more to unpack and discuss with you. And as I said from the outset, your enthusiasm is contagious. I love it, the passion and enthusiasm. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. It's super fun for me to talk to you. It was really interesting to be forced to think about things that you don't talk about with investors, or it's really interesting. So I've really enjoyed it. So thank you.